What is this nonsense? Are you still working on this painting? I was holding my brush when Melvin stormed into my studio and threw those words at me. The mockery on his face pierced my chest like a shard of glass. I looked at the canvas, a piece of my soul, an incomplete image of a solitary figure standing beneath the night sky, arms stretched toward the heavens. This was a part of my spirits. But to Melvin, just a joke. Melvin, please, this is my passion, I said, trying to keep my voice from breaking. I've spent months on this project. It's not just a painting, it's passion. He laughed. That light, dismissive laugh that crushed my heart every single time. Charles, how many years have you been saying the same thing? Not a single one of your paintings has sold. How long will you keep up this artist drama? I'm with you to build my business empire, not to support something that will never succeed. My hands trembled. Melvin was my fiancé. We'd been together for 3 years, and this pattern had become routine. Every day his words crushed my dreams a little more. I had accepted this part of my life so naturally that it had started to feel normal. Maybe he was right. Maybe I really was a failure. My business partners are coming for dinner tomorrow. You need to dress properly and behave appropriately. Drop this painting nonsense for today, he said in a flat tone and walked out, closing the door as if I had said something completely irrelevant. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. I had promised myself I wouldn't show weakness, especially in front of Melvin. But inside, I was breaking piece by piece. That night, I tried to motivate myself and decided to visit a local art show, to find some inspiration, to feel alive again. I stood there alone, looking at paintings when a tall, elegant shadow approached me. My heart stopped at first sight. This man, his presence was so commanding that people automatically moved aside as he walked into the gallery. Black tailored suit, silver cufflinks, and those eyes, those deep blue eyes that seemed to see through everything, as if hiding someone's secrets. Is this painting yours? His voice was deep and smooth, like velvet. I looked at him. He was standing in front of one of my small canvases that I had forced the gallery owner to display here. I was stunned. Yes, it's mine. He stared at the painting intently, then looked at me as if searching for something inside me. What's your name? Charles, I said, my voice barely stable. Charles, he repeated as if feeling the name on his tongue. I'm Felix. Felix Grayson. And your work, it's outstanding. The emotion you've captured in this painting is rare. My heart skipped a beat. Felix Grayson. Every artist knew that name. Billionaire art collector, owner of galleries around the world. And he was standing in front of me, praising my painting. I want to meet with you, he said quietly, pulling a card from his coat pocket. Tomorrow, lunch. I want to talk about your dreams. Your work has potential that I want to develop. He extended the card toward me, and when I took it, our fingers touched for a second. A strange current ran through me, and in that one moment, when his blue eyes met my brown ones, I felt as if the direction of my life had shifted. For the first time, someone had seen me not just as Charles but as an artist. The card felt heavy in my pocket as I walked home that night. Heavy with possibility, with hope I hadn't dared to feel in years. The street lamps cast long shadows, and for once I didn't feel swallowed by darkness. Felix Grayson's words echoed in my mind, drowning out the usual chorus of Melvin's criticisms. When I finally reached our apartment, the lights were off. Melvin hadn't come home yet. Part of me felt relieved. I wasn't ready to face him, wasn't ready to hear more dismissals of the thing that made me feel most alive. I went to the small corner I called my workspace and looked at the half-finished canvas. In the dim light from the window, the solitary figure seemed less lonely somehow, as if knowing someone had finally seen its worth. I pulled out Felix's card again. Matte black, minimalist design, just a phone number embossed in silver. No flashy logos or pretentious titles. It matched him, understated but undeniably powerful. I traced my finger over the numbers, wondering if this was real or just another disappointment waiting to happen. My phone buzzed. A text from Melvin. Working late. Don't wait up. The same message I'd received countless times before. I used to feel abandoned by those words, but tonight they felt like freedom. I had space to think, to dream, to imagine a different future. One where my art mattered. One where I mattered. I stayed up until dawn, Not painting but planning. What would I say to Felix tomorrow? How would I explain my situation without sounding desperate or pathetic? Should I even tell Melvin about the meeting? My mind raced with questions, each one more complicated than the last. As the first light of morning crept through the window, I made a decision. I would go to that lunch. I would listen to what Felix had to say, and for once in my life, I would choose to believe in possibility rather than surrendering to doubt. I showered and dressed carefully, choosing my best shirt, a simple navy button-down that Melvin had once said made me look almost presentable. I paired it with dark jeans and the one pair of nice shoes I owned. Looking in the mirror, I barely recognized myself, not because I looked different, but because something in my eyes had changed. There was a spark there, small but growing. The restaurant address Felix had written on the back of his card led me to an upscale establishment I'd only ever walked past, the kind of place where Melvin took his business clients but never me. My stomach churned with anxiety as I approached the entrance, suddenly aware of how out of place I must look. But the host greeted me warmly when I mentioned Felix's name, leading me through the elegant dining room to a private booth in the back. And there he was, already seated, looking at his phone with an expression of concentration that softened the moment he saw me. He stood up, extending his hand. "Charles, I'm glad you came." His handshake was firm but not aggressive, and when our hands met, I felt that same electric current from the night before. Something about his presence made me feel both nervous and strangely calm at the same time. "Thank you for inviting me," I managed to say, sliding into the booth across from him. "I have to admit, I'm still not sure this is really happening." Felix smiled, a genuine expression that reached his eyes. "I assure you, this is very real, and I meant every word I said last night about your work." I couldn't sleep at all that night. I kept staring at the card Felix had given me, turning it over in my hands like a talisman. Sleek, matte black with just a number embossed on it. No flashy logo, no over-designed text, just like Felix himself, simple but powerful. By morning I had asked myself 100 times whether this was real or just a dream. Melvin still hadn't come home. Probably another late night at the office or at that bar with his friends. I didn't care anymore. For the first time, someone else had seen my arts. Truly seen it and appreciated it. When lunchtime arrived, I was nervous. Terrified, actually. I put on my best shirt, simple jeans, and checked myself in the mirror repeatedly. Stupid, I know, but meeting someone like Felix wasn't a small thing. I was also scared that maybe this was all a prank. Or perhaps he had changed his mind. The restaurant was exclusive, and we had a table in a private booth. When I arrived, Felix was already there, scrolling through his phone. When he saw me, he put the phone aside and smiled. The kind of smile that calmed all my nerves, like morning sunlight. "Charles, please sit," he gestured. "I'm happy you came." I sat down, my hands clutched tightly in my lap. "Thank you for all of this. I still can't believe it's happening." "You don't need to thank me," he said smoothly, his blue eyes looking directly at me. "I met with you because your work, there's an honesty in your paintings that's rare, Charles. Genuine. Raw, real emotion, and I enjoy discovering artists who have these qualities." My face grew warm. No one had ever described my work like that. Melvin always. No, I wouldn't think about him right now. "I'm planning a private art exhibit in New York," Felix continued, setting his coffee cup aside. "Only for emerging artists. Hand-picked. And I want you to be the centerpiece of that exhibit. I want to give your paintings the platform they deserve." My heart pounded hard. Me? The centerpiece? But I'm just a struggling artist. I don't have proper training or any background. "Charles," he interrupted gently but firmly. "You are an artist, and you have something inside you that not everyone has. Authenticity is more important than formal training, and you have that. I'm offering you an opportunity, proper funding, studio space, connections. You just need to trust yourself. Trust me." Tears came to my eyes, but I blinked them back. This was a dream. This couldn't be real. But Felix's expression was sincere, his body language open. "But my fiancé," I paused. "How would I tell Melvin? He already discouraged me constantly. He would never let me go." Felix's expression changed slightly, tightened as if he had heard something uncomfortable. "Fiancé?" "Yes, Melvin. We've been together for 3 years. I began to explain, my fingers nervously intertwining. He's a businessman. He wants me to give up art. He says it's a waste of time. Felix looked at me for several seconds, then leaned closer, placing his elbows on the table. Charles, he said in a serious tone, if someone doesn't support your dreams, if someone doesn't rip your passion, then they're not right for you. This is your life, your art, and only you can decide what you need to do. His words penetrated deep into my heart. Sharp, true, and for the first time I felt like maybe I was in the wrong relationship. Think about it, Felix said, setting his coffee cup aside. If you take this chance, your life will change, but you need to be ready, emotionally, mentally. I'm not forcing you, but the opportunity is here. I looked at him. In that moment, Felix wasn't just a billionaire. He was a man who understood me, who saw my dreams when no one else took them seriously. When my own fiancé treated them like a joke. I'm ready, I whispered, my heart racing. I want to do this. Felix smiled and extended his hand toward me. Then it's done. You'll work with me, Charles. Welcome to your new beginning. When I shook his hand, that current passed through me again, stronger this time. And in that second I felt like I was alive for the first time, like my dreams could finally become reality. Felix ordered lunch for both of us. Nothing too fancy, but everything tasted better than anything I'd had in months. Maybe it was the food or maybe it was the company. We talked about art, about his galleries, about the artists he had discovered over the years. He spoke with passion and knowledge, never condescending, always treating me like an equal. Tell me about your process, he said, leaning back in his seat. When you create, what drives you? I hesitated, unused to anyone asking about my work with genuine interest. It's hard to explain. When I paint, I'm trying to capture moments that feel too big for words. Loneliness, hope, the space between despair and light. I want people to look at my work and feel less alone in whatever they're going through. Felix nodded slowly, his blue eyes never leaving mine. That's exactly what I saw in your piece last night. That raw vulnerability. Most artists are afraid to show that much of themselves. They hide behind technique or trends. But you're brave enough to be honest. No one had ever called me brave before. Melvin certainly never had. The exhibit is in 6 weeks, Felix continued. That gives us time to prepare your pieces, get them properly framed and documented. I'll have my team set up a studio space for you somewhere you can work without distractions. Everything will be provided. I can't possibly accept all of that, I protested weakly. It's too much. Charles, Felix said, his voice firm but kind. I invest in talent, and you have it. This isn't charity, this is business. Your success will benefit both of us. Besides, he added with a slight smile, I have a feeling about you, and I always trust my instincts. The way he looked at me when he said that made my breath catch. There was something in his expression that went beyond professional interest, something warmer and more personal, but I pushed that thought away. This was about my art, about my career. Nothing more. I'll need to talk to Melvin, I said quietly. He won't be happy about this. That's not a surprise, Felix replied, his jaw tightening slightly. But Charles, you need to understand something. Your art, your talent, your dreams, they matter. Anyone who truly cares about you would want you to pursue them. If Melvin can't see that, then maybe you need to reconsider what you're willing to sacrifice for someone else's comfort. His words hung in the air between us, heavy with truth I wasn't quite ready to face. I came home to find Melvin sitting in the living room typing on his laptop. He didn't even look at me when I walked in. This had become routine too, his ignoring me as if I wasn't even there. Typical Melvin. Melvin, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I need to talk to you. It's important. Yeah, go ahead, he said in a disinterested tone, still staring at the screen, his fingers tapping on the keyboard. I had a meeting with an art collector today, I began, choosing my words carefully. Felix Grayson. You've probably heard his name. Felix Grayson? Melvin closed his laptop and turned toward me. Something different was in his eyes. Suspicion? Jealousy? How did you meet him? And why didn't you tell me first? He liked my painting at the art show, I said, a bit proudly, because for the first time someone had recognized my work. He offered me a chance to work in his New York exhibit. This is a huge opportunity for me, Melvin. The thing I've been waiting for has finally arrived. Melvin stood up, his face starting to turn red. You met him for lunch without telling me? Have you lost your mind, Charles? This is some random stranger and you're discussing business with him. I tried to tell you but you were busy. I defended myself, and he's not a random stranger, Melvin. He's Felix Grayson, a billionaire art collector. This is a legitimate opportunity. Busy or not, you should have asked my permission. Melvin shouted. And who does this Felix Grayson think he is? Offering you your dreams. Do you even know what kind of man he is? Rich people only use artists. They only look out for themselves. My hand clenched into a fist. Melvin, you don't understand. This is my dream. This is the chance I've been waiting for all these years. You should be happy for me. Dream? Melvin said mockingly, moving closer to me. This isn't a dream, Charles. It's foolishness. And you're falling for this billionaire's trap like an idiot. You think he won't want something from you? Those people don't do anything for free. Don't you have any sense at all? Anger filled my eyes. You always put down my work, Melvin. Always. When I want support from you, you discourage me. You've never once said yes, Charles. Try it. I'm with you. Never. Just criticism. Just negativity. Melvin came closer and grabbed my wrist. A bit too tightly. Because your work will never succeed. I'm trying to show you reality, but you just won't listen. You're living in your fake dreams. I yanked my hand away, his grip leaving a mark on my wrist. Don't touch me like that. You think this Felix will offer you something and you'll become a superstar? Melvin laughed. That mocking laugh. Charles, there are thousands of artists just like you. You're not special. You're error-y. And the sooner you understand that, the better. Those words stabbed into my chest. Deep. Painful. Because part of me was afraid that maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe I really was ordinary, but then I remembered Felix's voice. There's an honesty in your work that's rare, Charles. I'm leaving, I said quietly, moving toward my jacket. Leaving? Where? Melvin's tone became threatening. To him? To that Felix? Anywhere. Away from you. I need to think. If you leave, don't come back. Melvin shouted, and I walked out with my jacket and phone, slamming the door behind me. My hands were shaking, and tears were streaming from my eyes that I was trying to hold back. I didn't know where I was going. I just wanted to get away from Melvin, from his voice, from his negativity. I pulled out my phone and without thinking dialed Felix's number with shaking fingers. After 3 rings he answered. Charles? His voice was concerned, surprised too. Felix. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm calling, my voice cracked. Where are you? He asked firmly. Send me your address. I'm coming. Right now. But, Charles, send the address. Don't argue. And he hung up. I shared my location. 5 minutes later, a sleek black car stopped in front of me. Felix was in the driver's seat himself. He rolled down the window. Get in, he said softly, but concern was clear in his eyes. And I got in, feeling safe for the first time as soon as the car door closed. Felix didn't say anything at first, just drove. I sat in the passenger seat, my hands clenched in my lap, my breathing still uneven. My eyes looked outside but saw nothing, just Melvin circling repeatedly in my mind. You're not special, you're ordinary. Charles, Felix said gently, stopping at a red light. Breathe. Deep breaths. Try to relax. I looked at him, his jaw was tight but there was something else in his eyes. Concern? Tenderness? Maybe anger too, but not at me. Where are you taking me? I asked, my voice cracking. To my place, he said simply, then looked at me as the light turned green. You need a safe space. And that space isn't your apartment where your fiancé treats you like this. You need time to think. My heart stopped. How did you? It shows on your face, Charles, Felix said, driving again. And I also noticed that mark on your wrist when you got in the car. When you came to lunch there was hope in your eyes. But now there's pain. And I can't watch that. Tears started falling automatically. I couldn't stop them. In 3 years, Melvin had never noticed when I was hurt. Never. We arrived at his penthouse after a while. When I stepped inside, I was stunned. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city. Lights twinkling like stars. White marble floors, modern furniture and stunning artwork on every wall, original pieces, museum quality. The This was beyond my dreams. This was someone else's world. Sit down, Felix gestured toward the couch and went to the kitchen. He came back with water. Drink this. You'll feel better. I took the glass and sipped, my hands still trembling slightly. Felix sat across from me, placing his elbows on his knees, looking at me with complete concentration as if I was the most important thing to him in that moment. And for the first time in years, I felt like maybe I mattered to someone. The city lights blurred past the car windows as Felix drove in silence. I sat rigid in the passenger seat, my hands gripped tightly together, trying to steady my breathing. Everything felt surreal. The escape from Melvin, the phone call, and now this. Felix's presence beside me was both comforting and overwhelming. "Are you cold?" Felix asked, his voice cutting through my spiraling thoughts. "I can turn up the heat." "No, I'm fine," I managed to say, though my voice sounded distant even to my own ears. He glanced at me briefly before returning his attention to the road. "Charles, you need to know something. What happened back there, that's not normal. The way he grabbed you, the things he said. That's abuse." The word hung in the air between us. Abuse. I'd never thought of it that way. Melvin was just difficult, demanding, critical. But abuse? He's under a lot of stress, I found myself defending him. Old habits dying hard. His business has been struggling, and I know I haven't been contributing financially. "Stop." Felix's tone was firm but not harsh. "Don't make excuses for someone who hurts you. Stress doesn't justify cruelty. Financial contribution doesn't justify emotional manipulation. You deserve better than that." I turned to look at him. His jaw was set, his hands gripping the steering wheel a bit too tightly. He was angry, not at me but for me. When was the last time someone had been angry on my behalf? We pulled into an underground parking garage, and Felix guided the car into a private space. The elevator ride up was quiet, but it wasn't uncomfortable. He stood close enough that I could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle, cedar and bergamot. When the elevator doors opened directly into his penthouse, I stepped out into a space that took my breath away. The entire wall facing us was glass, offering an unobstructed view of the city skyline. The lights sparkled like a universe laid out just for us. "This is incredible," I whispered. "It's home," Felix said simply. He moved past me to the kitchen, an open concept space with sleek marble countertops and state-of-the-art appliances. "Are you hungry? I can make something." "You cook?" The question came out before I could stop it. He smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen since picking me up. "I'm full of surprises. Sit down, please. You look like you're about to collapse." I moved to the couch, a low-slung modern piece that was surprisingly comfortable. The artwork on the walls was museum-quality originals, not prints. A Rothko here, what looked like an early Basquiat there. Each piece carefully curated, thoughtfully placed. Felix returned with 2 glasses of water and sat down across from me in an armchair. He didn't speak immediately, just studied me with those intense blue eyes. "I need to tell you something," he finally said. "And I need you to listen without interrupting, without dismissing it. Can you do that?" My heart began to race. "Okay." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped together. "When I saw your painting at that gallery, it stopped me in my tracks. I've been collecting art for 15 years. I've seen thousands of pieces, met hundreds of artists. But your work, it spoke to something I didn't even know I was looking for." He paused, seeming to gather his thoughts. "I told myself it was purely professional interest. I could help launch your career, add an exceptional talent to my roster. That's what I do. But then I met you and everything got complicated." My mouth went dry. "What do you mean?" "I mean that somewhere between the gallery and lunch yesterday, this stopped being just about your art." His eyes met mine, unflinching. "You're talented, Charles. Extraordinarily so. But you're also kind and genuine. And you see the world in a way that makes me want to see it differently too." I couldn't breathe. Was he saying what I thought he was saying? "I'm not telling you this to pressure you," Felix continued quickly. "God knows you have enough to deal with right now. But I won't lie to you either. I think about you. More than I should. More than is probably appropriate given our professional relationship." "Felix," I started, but he held up a hand. "Let me finish. You're engaged to someone who doesn't value you, who doesn't see how extraordinary you are. And I know it's not my place to say this, but you deserve someone who looks at you the way I do. Someone who sees your potential and wants to help you reach it, not hold you back. Tears burned in my eyes. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything right now. He stood up and moved toward a hallway. Come on. I'll show you the guest room. You can stay here tonight as long as you need. Actually, no strings attached, no expectations, just a safe place to figure out what you want. I followed him down the hallway, my mind reeling. The guest room was beautiful, minimalist but warm, with soft gray walls and white linens. A window overlooked the city and there was an attached bathroom with heated floors. There are clothes in the closet if you need them, Felix said from the doorway. Probably too big, but better than nothing. Towels are in the bathroom cabinet. If you need anything else, my room is at the end of the hall. Felix, I said, turning to face him. Thank you. For everything. For believing in me when no one else did. Charles, he said softly, someone should have been believing in you all along. After he left, I sat on the edge of the bed and finally let myself cry. Not the silent tears I'd shed in the car, but deep, shaking sobs that came from somewhere I'd been keeping locked away for years. I cried for the time I'd wasted with Melvin, for the dreams I'd almost given up on, for the version of myself I'd lost somewhere along the way. My phone buzzed insistently on the nightstand where I'd placed it. Melvin's messages kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. Threats mixed with apologies mixed with accusations. I read them all, feeling nothing but a strange detachment. Finally, I picked up the phone and typed out a single message. I need space. Don't contact me again. Then I blocked his number. I took a long shower in the pristine bathroom, letting the hot water wash away the tension in my muscles. When I came out wrapped in the plush robe I'd found hanging on the door, I noticed a note had been slipped under the bedroom door. There's food in the kitchen if you get hungry. Sleep well. You're safe here. I held the note against my chest, feeling something unfamiliar bloom in my heart. Hope, maybe, or possibility, or the beginning of something I wasn't quite ready to name. For the first time in 3 years, I fell asleep feeling like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Morning light streamed through the unfamiliar windows, and for a disorienting moment, I couldn't remember where I was. Then it all came rushing back. The fight, the escape, Felix's penthouse. I sat up slowly, taking in the elegant simplicity of the guest room that had become my sanctuary overnight. The smell of coffee and something sweet drifted down the hallway. I found clothes laid out on a chair, a soft gray t-shirt and black joggers, both clearly expensive despite their casual appearance. They were too large, but I rolled up the sleeves in cuffs and made my way toward the kitchen. Felix stood at the stove, spatula in hand, flipping what looked like French toast. He'd changed into dark jeans and a white button-down, sleeves rolled to his elbows. He looked relaxed, domestic in a way that seemed at odds with the powerful businessman I'd met at the gallery. Morning, he said without turning around. I heard you moving. Hope you like French toast? It's about the only breakfast food I can make properly. You didn't have to do this, I said, sliding onto one of the bar stools at the kitchen island. I wanted to. He plated the toast and set it in front of me with butter and maple syrup. Besides, we need to talk about next steps. Your exhibition, the studio space, logistics. Right. The exhibition. In everything that had happened, I'd almost forgotten about the opportunity that had started all of this. My phone, which I'd left charging on the counter, began to vibrate incessantly. Both of us looked at it. The screen lit up with notification after notification, texts, missed calls, voicemail. He's persistent, Felix observed dryly. I reached for the phone and scrolled through Melvin's messages. They'd escalated from pleading to threatening. You can't just leave like this. I saw you get in that car. I know whose car that was. If you don't come home right now, there will be consequences. I'll ruin you, Charles. I'll tell everyone the truth about you. Your little art career will be over before it starts. I have connections too. My hands started shaking. What truth? There is no truth. I haven't done anything wrong. Felix set down his coffee mug carefully. Let me see. I slid the phone across the counter. He read through the messages, his expression growing progressively darker. When he looked up, there was steel in his eyes. This is intimidation. Textbook harassment. He pulled out his own phone. I'm calling my attorney. We need to document all of this. Felix. No, I started to protest, but he was already dialing. Yes, this is urgent, he said into the phone. I need you to prepare cease and desist documentation. Possible restraining order. He glanced at me. And I'm sending you screenshots right away. 20 minutes later, his lawyer had called back with a plan. They would send official legal notification to Melvin, warning him that continued contact would result in legal action. They would also monitor his social media for any defamatory posts. I can't afford this, I said quietly, staring at my untouched breakfast. Legal fees, attorney, consider it an investment in my artists, Felix said. Besides, no one threatens someone under my protection and gets away with it. Under his protection. The words should have made me feel dependent, weak. Instead, they made me feel valued. The doorbell rang, an actual old-fashioned chime that seemed out of place in the modern apartment. Felix's entire body went tense. He checked his phone, pulling up what must have been a security camera feed. It's him, he said grimly. He must have followed you last night or figured out where I live. My stomach dropped. How did he stay here? Felix's voice had taken on a commanding tone I hadn't heard before. Do not come out until I tell you to. He moved toward the door while I remained frozen at the kitchen island. I could hear raised voices, though I couldn't make out the words. Then Melvin's voice, louder, angrier. I know he's in there. Charles, stop hiding like a coward. Despite Felix's instructions, I found myself moving toward the entryway. I had to face this. I couldn't hide forever. Felix had positioned himself in the doorway, his tall frame blocking Melvin's entry. Melvin looked terrible, disheveled, unshaven, his eyes wild with desperation and rage. Charles, Melvin said when he saw me. His voice cracked. Please, we can fix this. Just come home. This isn't your home, Felix said coldly. And you need to leave before I call the police. Call them, Melvin shouted. I'm not leaving without my fiancé. I'm not your anything anymore, I heard myself say. My voice was steadier than I expected. We're done, Melvin. I should have ended this a long time ago. Because of him? Melvin's face twisted with contempt as he gestured at Felix. You think he actually cares about you? He's using you, Charles. Rich people like him collect artists like toys. You're just another acquisition. That's enough, Felix said, his voice dangerously quiet. You have 10 seconds to leave voluntarily or security will remove you. You don't know what he is, Melvin continued, ignoring Felix entirely. What he's done. The struggles we've been through. 3 years, Charles. 3 years of supporting you while you played artist. Supporting me? The words burst out of me before I could stop them. You made me feel worthless every single day. You told me my dreams were stupid, my art was garbage, that I would never amount to anything. Because I was trying to help you see reality. Melvin's voice broke. I was trying to protect you from disappointment. No, I said firmly. You were trying to make yourself feel bigger by making me feel small. And I'm done shrinking myself to fit into your idea of who I should be. Security arrived in 2 large men in suits who'd apparently been summoned by Felix's earlier call. They approached Melvin calmly but firmly. Sir, you need to come with us, one of them said. This isn't over. Melvin said, looking directly at me. You'll regret this, Charles. Both of you will. They escorted him to the elevator, his protests fading as the doors closed. Felix shut and locked the door, then turned to me. Are you okay? I wasn't sure how to answer that. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing, but underneath the fear and adrenaline, there was something else. Relief. Liberation. I think so, I said. Is it always going to be like this? No, Felix said firmly, moving closer. My attorney is already preparing documentation. By this afternoon, Melvin will have legal notification that any further contact is prohibited. If he violates that, there will be consequences. He reached out and gently took my hand. You were brave just now, standing up to him like that. I didn't feel brave, I admitted. I felt terrified. Courage isn't the absence of fear, Felix said softly. It's acting despite it. And you did that. You chose yourself over his manipulation. Standing there in the morning light, my hand in his, I realized something fundamental had shifted. I wasn't the same person who'd picked up a brush yesterday morning. That Charles had been breaking under the weight of someone else's expectations. This Charles was beginning to remember how to stand. 1 week, that's how long it took for my entire world to transform. Felix had been true to his word about everything. The studio space he provided was on the floor below his penthouse. A sun-drenched room with north-facing windows that gave perfect, consistent light. Professional grade supplies lined the walls. Oil paints, acrylics, watercolors, brushes in every size, canvases ranging from small studies to massive statement pieces. Every morning I would wake up in the guest room, though Felix had started calling it your room, have breakfast with him and then disappear into the studio until evening. Felix would check in occasionally, bringing coffee or sitting quietly in the corner while I worked. But he never interrupted my process. His presence was comforting rather than intrusive, a silent encouragement that someone believed in what I was doing. Melvin had gone quiet after the cease and desist letter arrived. His social media posts attempting to paint me as ungrateful and unfaithful had been swiftly removed after legal intervention. Felix's attorney had been thorough and efficient, handling everything with professional detachment. But today was different. Today was the exhibition. I stood in the New York Art Gallery, surrounded by my own work displayed under professional lighting. 6 paintings, each representing a different stage of the journey I'd been on. The centerpiece, the one I'd completed just 3 days ago, showed a figure emerging from darkness, holding light in cupped hands, face turned upward toward an unseen sky. "Stop fidgeting with your tie," Felix said, appearing at my elbow. He looked devastating in a black tuxedo, his blue eyes bright with excitement. "You look perfect." "I look terrified," I corrected, my fingers still worrying at the silk knot at my throat. "That too." He smiled and reached up to straighten my collar, his fingers brushing my neck. The touch sent electricity through me. "But terror means you care. It means this matters. What if no one comes? What if they hate it?" Felix's hands came up to frame my face, forcing me to look at him. "Charles, listen to me. Your art is exceptional. I wouldn't have put my name on this exhibition if I didn't believe that completely. Whatever happens tonight, you've already succeeded. You created something meaningful. You refused to give up on yourself." The gallery doors opened and people began filtering in. Critics, collectors, journalists, other artists, all the people who made up New York's art world. I recognized faces from magazines, names from gallery openings I'd read about but never attended. Felix squeezed my shoulder. "I need to greet some people. You okay on your own for a bit?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. As he moved away to play host, I stood back and watched people approach my paintings. A woman in an elegant black dress stopped in front of the centerpiece, staring at it for a long moment before pulling out her phone to take notes. A distinguished older man with silver hair examined the brushwork up close, nodding appreciatively. "Excuse me, are you the artist?" I turned to find a young woman with a press badge. "Yes, I'm Charles. Veronica Chen, Art Forum magazine. Can I ask you a few questions about your process?" The interview blurred past questions about inspiration, technique, the emotional core of the work. More people approached after, wanting to know about specific pieces, asking about price points, commissioning future work. "This is extraordinary," a collector told me, gesturing at a painting of a lone figure on a bridge. "The vulnerability here, the raw emotion, you don't see this kind of honest work often." "I want to purchase this one," another person said, pointing to a different piece. "Can we discuss terms?" My head spun. This was really happening. People weren't just looking. They were buying, commissioning, praising. Then I saw him. Melvin stood near the entrance, dressed in a suit that looked like he'd thrown it on in a hurry. His eyes found mine across the crowded room, and something in his expression made my stomach clench. He'd moving toward me, purposefully, ignoring the other guests. Felix materialized at my side before Melvin could reach me. "You're not welcome here. Leave now." "I need to talk to Charles," Melvin said, his voice tight with barely controlled emotion. "Just 5 minutes. Please." I don't think I started, but something in his face stopped me. He looked broken. Genuinely broken. 5 minutes. But here, where everyone can see. Felix gave me a questioning look, but I nodded. He stepped back slightly, still close enough to intervene if needed. "I was wrong," Melvin said without preamble. "About everything. Your art, your talent, what you're capable of. I see that now." He gestured around the gallery. "This is Ira, Charles. You were meant for this." "Thank you," I said carefully. "But that doesn't change what happened between us." I know it doesn't." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I recognized from 1,000 arguments. "I was jealous. I think you had this passion, this thing that bade you come alive, and I had nothing like that." So I tried to kill it in you instead of finding my own. It was the most self-aware thing I'd ever heard him say. I'm not asking you to come back, Melvin continued. I know I destroyed any chance of that. But I needed you to know, I'm sorry. For all of it. For making you doubt yourself. For trying to control you. For not seeing what was right in front of me. There was no manipulation in his voice. No hidden agenda. Just regret. I forgive you, I heard myself say. And surprisingly, I meant it. But we can't go back. I'm not the same person I was a week ago. I can see that. Melvin looked past me to Felix, who was watching us carefully. He sees you the way I should have. Take care of him. Then he turned and walked out, leaving me standing there with emotions I couldn't quite name. Felix returned to my side. You okay? I will be, I said. And I knew it was true. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of congratulations and conversations. By the time the gallery began to empty, I'd sold 4 pieces and had 3 commissions lined up. My head was spinning with possibilities. When the last guest left, Felix and I stood alone in the gallery, surrounded by my work and the promise of everything that lay ahead. Charles, Felix said softly, taking my hand, I know the timing is complicated. I know you just got out of a difficult relationship. But I need to tell you something. My heart hammered against my ribs. I'm falling for you. Maybe I've been falling since that first moment at the gallery. It's not just your art anymore, it's you. The way you see the world, the courage it took to leave Melvin, the dedication you put into your work. He paused. I understand if you need time, if this is too much too soon. I kissed him. It was impulsive and probably ill-advised and absolutely perfect. His lips were soft against mine, and when he pulled me closer, I felt something click into place, like I'd been searching for this without knowing it. When we finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, Felix rested his forehead against mine. Was that your answer? He asked. A smile in his voice. Yes. I whispered. To everything. Yes.